Hey guys, how's everyone doing? Sorry about the long start screen, I was having a few mic issues. Can you guys hear me? I think it's working fine now. By mic issues, I mean my mic was unplugged. Alright, cool. Awesome. So, welcome to the daily analysis. Today is Wednesday, the 25th of July, 2018. Time is 10:03 here in the UK. Today's analysis, we're going to do what we do in every analysis. We're going to look for price action setups. Today's analysis is going to be members only. So, well, it will probably be members only. All analysis sessions are members only for the live session, but the recording of this one's going to be members only too. When we have a members only recording, we tend to be a little bit more free with the questions I can answer. So if you have any questions about trading in general, feel free to ask. Anyway, let's look for some setups. I'm just going to start this software so I can draw on my screen. Yay, cool. AUDJPY, I mean, nothing much going on there, guys. Neither on AUD New Zealand. AUDUSD. I mean, it's hit the top of that range, but it was a really fast turnaround, wasn't it? So yeah, nothing I'd want to trade there. EURAUD hit the bottom of the range, but again, it was a really fast turnaround. EUROCAD, nothing much going on. EURJPY is still reversing. EURJPY now, we go through all those pairs fast, but there was nothing really happening there, so there's nothing much to discuss. EURJPY though, this one's starting to look interesting. We're getting price stalling out on the support area. It's now stalling out on the daily. It's been stalling for 3 candles now. So the first candle that stalled out on this area was this one here. We can see that it was still a bearish candle, but it's got this big long lower wick because it tried to get through the area and it just couldn't, so it pulled back up. Then we got yesterday's candle, which again tried to get through, but it just couldn't manage it. And then today's candle, so far, it's been open for about 12 hours, has just stalled out on this area. So we are getting signs that the price is heavily stalling here and that it might turn around. So that's a good sign. We were looking for a long here yesterday. I'm still looking for this long trade here. Haven't entered it yet. I'm still looking, still waiting. EURUSD yesterday, we were just looking for a range, but there's nothing much going on there. GBPAUD, yeah, same as yesterday, nothing much happening there. GBPJPY, this one turned around already. Did anyone enter this one? It turned around quite quickly yesterday. Yesterday's analysis, when we were doing it, it was around about here. Then an hour later, I came back and it was up here. I'm not sure about how accurate those times are, but that was roughly what happened. During the analysis, it was down here, then like an hour. I think it was an hour. Maybe it was a bit more. Later, boom, it shot up to there. What time was yesterday's analysis? Let's see. It was at 12, so... Alright, so it was 2 hours later. Oh no, because it did spike up before that. Whatever. It wasn't that long after, it just shot up, so I kind of missed that move. But it looks like no one's in it, so... Oh, you are? Cool, cool. Nice to see someone in it. It's going kind of well, slowing down a little bit, but you know, nothing to be concerned about. Definitely say hold on to that one. GBP USD, yeah, nothing much going on there. I don't think anything much has changed today, guys, in terms of what we're looking for. It's pretty much the same setups we were looking for yesterday. So things are very similar to what they were yesterday. USDJPY, I'm still waiting for a long setup here. Waiting for it to stall out here. It is stalling, I mean, but waiting for it to stall out and reverse is what I meant to say. I mean, it's been stalling for those 3 candles. This is probably one of the shortest analysis we're ever going to do because we've already gone through everything. It's pretty much the exact same as yesterday. What we've got today is the exact same as yesterday. Nothing much has changed except GBPJPY has already triggered, whereas yesterday that hadn't triggered. But EURJPY, we're looking for a long from the support area. USDJPY, we're looking for a long from the support area. EURAUD, AUDUSD, we're just looking for range trades in and out of here. Not in and out, sorry, but in between these 2 support resistance areas. The top one and the bottom one, that's AUDUSD, EURUSD. Let me organize these as... So AUDUSD, EURUSD, and EURAUD, what we're looking for there is range trades in between the 2 support resistance areas where price is currently ranging between. EURJPY, GBPJPY, and USDJPY, we're looking for reversals, although the GBPJPY one has already triggered. I'm not quite sure what you mean, Ashik. Do you mean would I exit because price has slowed, because the movement has slowed down slightly? No. You can't freak out every time something slows down for a few hours. %90 of your trades are going to slow down. 90% of them are not going to go trigger and then bam, straight to your target. I wish it was like that, but that's just not the reality of trading. When you take a trade, it's usually a process of up a little bit, down a little bit, up a little bit, down a little bit, up a little bit, sometimes down a lot, then up again, blah, blah, blah. That's just how trading works. You can't freak out just because for an hour it's done a little bit of a pullback. If you watch the risk management videos, although I'm not sure if you have access to those, Viet talks a lot about, it's the latest one. I can't remember if you have access to those. Viet goes into detail about how to manage trades. So with this trade, it depends on your entry, of course, but you may have already moved your target, your stop loss rather, up a little bit. I'm not sure about that though. It's based on your risk to reward ratio, so it would depend on your entry. Are there any other questions, guys? We need to start doing webinars in the evenings again when more people can attend. That way there's more conversation. Yeah, for the ranges, we're just looking for reversals, just classic reversals, but in between the ranges. So I'd be looking for indecision there to go short, indecision here to go long, indecision there to go short. It's just that in these range-bound periods, these become higher probability trades. The one major difference is with these, you can often drop down to the lower time frames. So you could go maybe to the 1 hour. Well, not maybe, definitely to the 1 hour. I guess I answered that question preemptively. I find that trading ranges on the 1 hour is okay, just because the range is so tight that you'll often find that it works out well. But there is going to be a video on this added to the course very soon. You do need to be very mindful of your stop losses. You can't just put extremely tight stop losses because the candles are smaller. You still need a good stop loss, a good size stop loss. A wide stop even. Because you're going to have, like, here's an example. You're going to have a lot of situations like this where you would have potentially taken a long trade there, comes up, comes back down to the lower end of that support and then goes up. So if your stop loss was right under the low of indecision, you would have got stopped out. But if you gave it a lot more breathing room, you would have been fine on that. This one you probably would have got stopped out. That would have been a lot of a huge stop loss, but not sure if you would have entered that. I'm not sure what news that was. Yeah, but here's another example of if your stop loss was right below indecision, you would have got stopped out. But if you had a wide stop, you'd still be in this one. I answered this in yesterday's webinar. I gave a very extensive answer in yesterday's webinar, but I don't know at what point in the webinar. I think it was towards the end. I guess I may as well answer it again. It's something I should add to the course because I think I was asked this question twice yesterday. So it probably makes sense to add it to the course. But anyway, a lot of people like me to give yes or no answers. Do you hold trades over the weekend? Yes, no. But with a lot of things in trading, there is no yes or no answer. It's just very situational. So if I was in a situation where I'm in a trade, let's look for a recent trade. No. Oh my God, I keep clicking the wrong one. So I'm in this EURJPY short trade, this one that happened here. I didn't enter this trade, but let's just pretend I did. Now, let's pretend that the indecision candle itself, this one here, was Thursday, and then this candle was Friday. So price has dropped down during the day on Friday and then come back up towards the end of the day. Would I hold this over the weekend? No, because price is near my entry. If I get a gap over the weekend, it could gap up over my stop loss. It's just too risky to hold this trade over the weekend. So I'm not going to. I'm going to just close this trade out and leave it. Now, let's imagine that this was Wednesday instead. The indecision candle was Wednesday, this was Thursday, and this was Friday. So now it's Friday and price is halfway towards my target. So roughly at the 50% mark. Might be a bit less, might be a bit more. But it's roughly at the 50% mark. In this case, I'd probably say to myself, all right, it's not going to reach my target by the end of the day because there's an hour left until market close and it's roughly down here. But it's very, very unlikely that over the weekend it's going to gap up enough to be higher than my stop loss. So my stop loss would be somewhere here, just for example. It's highly unlikely that it's going to gap up above here. That would be crazy. That just doesn't really happen. I mean, it can happen, but it's a very rare thing. So I'm 50% of the way to my target. So it's not enough to close out because it's only 50%. But it's safe enough to keep it open. So in that case, I'd leave it open over the weekend. But then what if this was Tuesday, this was Wednesday, this was Thursday, and then this was Friday. So this candle here is the Friday candle. Now in this case, I'd be like, okay, this is 85% of the way to my target. It's almost hit my target, almost ready to close this trade out. But it's Friday, it's end of day almost, end of the trading week almost, and it's just not quite there yet. Should I keep this open over the weekend for that extra 10, 15% towards my target? I'd probably, in that case, say, no, it's close enough. I'm just going to close this one out. That way, I don't run the risk of holding a trade over the weekend. I don't run the risk of it gapping back up. Because I personally don't like holding trades over the weekend. If it makes sense not to hold it over the weekend, I'll not hold it. But there are scenarios in which I will hold it over the weekend. Most times I try to close out trades. But if, like the example I gave earlier, where it's 50% of the way to my target and it's not quite hit that target yet, it's not going to get even close to that target by the end of the week, I'll probably leave it open. No. Ashik, you don't use pips to measure anything in Forex. Pips are not a good unit of measurement. 10 pips on one pair can be a huge amount, while on other pairs like GBPJPY, for example, 10 pips is nothing. It can move 10 pips in under a second in normal conditions. I'll show you why 10 pips, why pips are a horrible unit of measurement. That's 10 pips on GBPJPY, the space between those two lines. I can't remember if AUDUSD is a... See the difference? Now that's just one pair. I need a slower moving pair. I just can't remember what a slow moving pair is right now. Because it changes quite often. USDJPY used to be the slowest moving pair ever. But that one's picked up speed in recent years. My point is, pips are different. Pips aren't a good unit of measurement. Yeah, see, that's a good example. EURJPY. So EURJPY, thanks for that. That's 10 pips on EURGBP. On GBPJPY, that's 10 pips. So if I were to say to you, ooh, gaps are around about 100 pips, keep in mind that the difference in size gets bigger as you go up the number of pips. So this is 100 pips on EURJPY. That's 100 pips on GBPJPY. See what I mean? And also, gaps on pairs are different. Some pairs gap a lot, some pairs don't gap a lot. The easiest way, there's no magic number, there's no like special way to do this. You just look at the past. So if you look back, you look at the Friday candles, you see the gaps. For EURJPY, on the Friday candles, see this is a Friday candle, you have a gap there. And those are just the normal gaps, so I would double that roughly for a big gap. There's no exact formula to figuring out the size of a gap. You just look at the average sizes by scrolling back a little bit, and then you double it roughly to get an idea of what an extreme scenario would be. Never, ever, ever use pips as a unit of measurement in Forex. What's the average size of my stop loss in pips? A lot of people ask that. That's just completely illogical. 10 pips on one pair is completely different to 10 pips on another pair, let alone 100 pips, as you saw with the example with GBPJPY. 100 pips is nothing on GBPJPY. It can move that so quickly. Some wicks are 100 pips in size on GBPJPY. Look, that wick is 100 pips. That's just a wick. That wick's 100 pips. That wick maybe just under 100 pips. Those are just wicks. EURJPY, where do you see a 100 pip wick? Maybe this one's 100 pips? Yeah, it probably is. Like once a year you get a 100 pip wick on EURJPY. Also for profit, pips are a horrible unit of measurement. Anyway, are there any other questions? All right, doesn't look like there's any more questions, so we're going to wrap this webinar up. This webinar will be posted later today. Unfortunately, I need to get out of here for a short while, so it might be posted in a few hours. But nothing has changed in terms of the setups we're looking for. It's the same as yesterday. Therefore, there's no real rush to post this webinar anyway. So I'll post it when I get back. So yeah, thank you guys for attending, and I'll see you for tomorrow's webinar, which should be at 10 a.m. same time.